You know what? You know what? I think this means it's time to build physical DPS, Qiqi.
Ah, yes, Qiqi. Every whale's least favorite character. Because when you can pay to have any character you want, why would you ever want to use the one that's given to you for free? Qiqi is regarded by many to be the worst healer in the game. And while it's a harsh title to give her, it's not entirely inaccurate. Maybe in the days before the Kokomis and the Zhonglis of this game were released, she might have been worthwhile. But nowadays, this tiny zombie is often left out in the cold. But not today, because I'm working on building a team for my Eula. Currently, it lacks a healer. And what better character to fill the slot of a healer on a physical team than a maxed out Qiqi with an Aquila Pavonia? So this episode of Improving My Genshin Account, we're building Physical Qiqi. So, good news is we have all of the boss drops required to ascend Qiqi. Bad news is we need about 135 more Violetgrass. Now, there are, in fact, over 160 Violetgrass in the game, so I can get them all in my world and don't need to go bug anybody about it. The downside to that, however, is that rocks that I haven't broken? Hold on. Okay, the downside to that is that they are all in very hard to reach locations. Now there is another upside that because we have Qiqi, we can see on the map where all of the leeway specialties are. But that doesn't mean they're going to be any easier to access. So strap in, guys. We've got a long journey ahead of us. Let's go get some Violetgrass. All the way up there. In hindsight, maybe I should choose a different character. See, now that's a view I can get behind. There! One acquired. This is gonna be so much fun.
At least good luck doesn't discriminate by
No,
clan.
my sword! Come back! What the fuck? Oh, I see you. I see you, you motherfucker. There's a... Man, I really gotta explore Liyue more. How many chests am I going to find
can put these
today
to good
before I've gotten all the Violetgrass I need? Place your bets now in the comments.
Good grief!
Oh, you're... This is homophobic. Another one. Why the fuck is your name Slippery? That's kinda gross, bro. Okay, I've been recording for, let's see, 30 minutes now? Let's check our progress. I mean, we've got to be getting close, right? Okay, so we have enough for her next ascension level. Only 95 more to go. You know, I think this might be the real reason everyone hates Qiqi. Not because she's a bad character or anything, but because to even use her as a character, you have to go on a death-defying, life-altering quest. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, all manner of creatures in between, we've done it. 135 Violetgrass.
In the past, I did not understand the idea of being stronger than I already was. Now that I understand it well, I wish I was just a little stronger still.
I'm so glad I never have to collect a fucking Violetgrass ever again. But now that she's been all leveled up, and that's been taken care of, next on the agenda is of course her weapon, which as you know, we have the Aquila Favonius, which I have also thankfully pre-farmed for a little bit, and I think I have enough materials to fully ascend it. But you never know with these 5-star weapons, because they always take like way more materials. There we go. And I unfortunately called it. We are 2 weapon materials short of fully ascending this thing. If I'm not mistaken, this should be the last run. Ooh, that is nice. Looks so good on her as well. Once again, without a single artifact this time, I have created a character that has more attack than my Raiden Shogun. This fucking tiny little zombie is currently stronger than the god of Inazuma. Hello there. It's TVRose from the future because I recorded this entire hour-and-a-half long clip, only to realize once I put it into my editing software that it has no audio. Which really sucks, but what can you do? So we're going to be working on Qiqi's artifacts now. I know we usually do the talents next, but I was feeling a little silly, so I wanted to do it out of order. What we're going to be doing is giving her a 2-piece attack percent and 2-piece physical set. I'm going to be using Shimanoa's and Bloodstained just because those are the sets I had better pieces in. So the thing about building Qiqi is that all she really needs is attack. Really, no other stats really matter on her except just getting her attack as high as possible. So what we're going to be doing is we're just going to be leveling up a bunch of pieces that have attack percent and see which one gets the highest result. I'm going to start with the circlet here. Now the circlet's main stat is healing bonus, obviously, because she's a healer. Really, the problem that I'm facing the most here is that I have too many good artifacts, or rather, the artifacts that I have are too good for Qiqi. Like, a lot of the ones I end up using also have, like, crit and ER, and it's really just a waste on Qiqi because she can't really use those stats very well. Or at least she doesn't need to. Now, this circlet was not really going well. We had it halfway leveled up and hadn't rolled into attack once, so I decided to try a different one, because I did have one other healing bonus circlet that I could try. However, I leveled this one up and it rolled into flat defense, so it wasn't really useful. So now it's just a matter of fully leveling up that original circlet and hoping we get at least one roll into attack somewhere. You could theoretically also give her an attack percent circlet, but I don't think you would really get the same value out of increasing the attack stat that much as you would for just the flat healing bonus. If you wanted her to be more of a straight up DPS, then yes, but she's not really built to do that again. What we want to be able to do with her is to have her do a little damage and heal at the same time, so that her time on field isn't wasted. And this circlet ended up not rolling into attack even once, which was really disappointing. It was just EM and energy recharge, which are both not very useful at all. Now we're going to be leveling up her feather, which, when I tell you this was pain, it was so much pain. Because again, the problem is, I have too many good artifacts. I didn't want to waste a feather with like ER and crit on Qiqi. But coincidentally, all the ones that had attack percent also had other good stats. So by now, we've had 3 rolls into energy recharge. She doesn't need this much ER. What is she gonna do with it? Her burst does like nothing. A 4th roll into energy recharge. Seriously, what are we going to do with this? Now, I have to admit, building a burst nuke Qiqi would be an interesting challenge, but I don't hate myself that much. At this point, I thought I'd try out a different feather because we gotten 2 rolls into ER, and again, I didn't want to waste that on her, so I try another piece that also has crit rate, and it rolls into crit damage as well. What are the odds that we have an attack percent, crit rate, crit damage feather from this? I tell you, you only have good artifact luck when you don't need it. And there it goes, rolling into crit again. So I had to try a different feather. Again, I wasn't gonna waste such a good artifact on Qiqi, of all characters. She doesn't need it. So I try a different feather. You're never gonna guess what this one rolled into. But don't you worry, it gets worse from here. So of course it rolls into crit rate again, because why wouldn't it? And at this point, I'm literally running out of feathers. I'm literally running out of feathers to try. The last one I have, with attack percent, also is a crit rate, crit damage piece. Which again, I'm not wasting that on Qiqi. So instead we're gonna go back to the second feather that we tried, which at least that one only has 1 crit stat, right? But just watch how this monster rolls. There it goes into crit rate again! And hey, we finally got a single attack percent roll. And with our final roll here, we got a second attack percent roll, which thank God, because I was about to lose my mind. Next, we're leveling up her off-piece, her physical damage bonus goblet. And again, somehow, we have an artifact that has a crit stat. Can you guess what it's going to roll into? I will give you 3 guesses. Surprise, it's another crit rate, crit damage piece. I don't know how this keeps happening. They can't keep getting away with this. There it goes, rolling into crit damage. It's just insane. At this point, I was just fuck it. Fuck it. If it wants to roll into crit, it wants to roll into crit, and I can't stop it from happening. There we get an attack percent roll. The reason why I didn't immediately look, there we go again, another crit damage roll. The reason why I didn't immediately swap out into a different artifact is because I figured, well, I don't have too many other characters that need a physical damage goblet, so I figured it wasn't really a waste. And the final roll, it's insane. 24% crit damage. This is for Qiqi. What is she going to do with that? Where is she going with that? Like, literally, what do I do with that? Anyways, so now we're going to be moving on to her Sands. Of course, she wants an attack percent Sands. What character doesn't? Honestly, it's either attack percent or HP percent in this game, I swear. And of course, we only have 2 options. One of which is, you guessed it, a crit rate, crit damage piece. At this point, I just decided, fuck it. And there it goes, rolling into ER as well. Crit rate, crit damage, ER, attack percent, Sans. Of course, it has to roll into defense right away, because we can't have too good of a streak of good luck. There we go, another 10% crit damage, because Qiqi needs that so badly. Sorry, my bad. Another 18% crit damage. And sure, why not finish it out with another roll into ER? And finally, we're on to the flower, which none of the flowers that I had in this set had an attack percent bonus, so I was just gonna level up all of them and see if any of them got a 4th attack percent stat. This one thankfully did roll into attack percent. You know what else this piece is? Another crit rate and ER. And it did roll into attack. Eventually. And crit rate, because, again, we got so many crit damage rolls. I mean, we need to balance out our crit ratio, right? Oh, what is this build, man? This has just been cursed from start to finish. I mean, that's why my audio's not working. It's just because this whole build in general is cursed. Look at that, another ER stat. And that's the artifact build. Now, I'm almost afraid to show you her stats here. But if you look, she has a 20/90 crit ratio. If I gave her a crit weapon and a crit circlet, those would literally be DPS stats. It's insane to me that we somehow got to 93% crit damage just from accidental artifact rolls. And 150 energy recharge. Like, she doesn't need that. She doesn't need it. What is she going to do with all that? I mean, I won't lie, this has tempted me to attempt in the future a purely DPS Qiqi build. But, again, I don't hate myself that much. So, since my audio for farming her talent books is also gone, I figured I would just cut that out entirely and just show you what we got here. So I was actually able to get everything up to our goals here. So we have her normal attack at level 8 and her skill at level 8. I left her burst just at level 6 because it doesn't really do much for us. I used probably a shit ton more resin than I should have farming that stuff, but I wanted to get it all done in one day because I thought I would get the video done early, but here I am, recording the last part of this video the night before it's supposed to release, so. But now that our Qiqi is all done and maxed out as far as we're gonna take her, it's time to test her out. So first things first, Rosaria, if you would be our first test subject. Let's have a baseline by which to compare Qiqi to. So first, let's establish how well our Kokomi heals.
Rebuild!
So we get about 5,300 per tick of the jellyfish. Alrighty, now Rosaria, if you would just jump off one more time for us.
Is this my final job?
Okay, jumped off a little too hard there. Well, Barbados, this is rather awkward. That works for me. I'm not climbing up there again. Now, Qiqi, it's time for the moment of truth. Demonstrate for us your healing. 5,600! No way! So wait, so Kokomi is 5300, right? She's healing more than Kokomi per tick! That's crazy! What did I tell you, huh? What did I tell you? By the end of this video, my Qiqi would be as good or better than Kokomi. Now again, you don't get as many ticks of Qiqi's skill for healing capabilities. However, it can fully heal a character pretty quickly. And I think in a physical team where Eula is basically going to be the one on field most of the time, we only really need to be able to heal her. Because Rosaria, Fischl, even Qiqi herself are not going to be taking a whole lot of damage. And plus, Qiqi has the Aquila skill to protect her if she accidentally takes any damage. Which, speaking of her sword, how about we go test her damage? Now I'm also going to revive Rosaria so we can see how good her on-field healing is. See that Aquila coming in clutch to make sure Qiqi doesn't get knocked out of the battle right away. But she seems to be doing a pretty consistent, like, 3,000 physical damage. Which, obviously not as consistent as Eula, but Qiqi's damage...
So cold.
Okay, maybe I did overshoot a little bit for our first damage test here. Maybe I should go up against something a little bit less aggressive. But hey, look at that! We got its health like a third of the way down, and we were only using Qiqi. Also, I even forgot to mention, Rosaria was almost fully healed. I do really hate that people write off Qiqi so much. I mean, the reason they do is because she's a standard character, and obviously, they hate her because they lose 50-50 to her, not because they actually hate her character. And also, she does take quite a fair bit of investment to be a decent character like this. I mean, you all saw the pain that I went through while trying to build her. However, once you do put in that work, as you can do for any character to make them good, Qiqi actually does become a really decent healer, and she is on par with the likes of Kokomi. Now granted, she doesn't do things like hydro application, and she really doesn't offer much benefit other than straight up healing and a little extra physical damage. But for the team that we're going to use her in, we don't really need her for more than that. She's the team's healer, and she gets in a little extra physical damage when she's on field. Now, there's a whole other conversation to be had about how physical teams aren't meta, but you guys know me. When have I ever cared about sticking to the meta? All in all, despite the trials and tribulations, I would consider this video a success. And any Qiqi havers that have maybe ignored her or have been wondering if she's worth it to build, I say go for it. Because I certainly enjoy using her now. And I will admit, it may partially be because of this fancy 5-star weapon that she's got that makes her so useful. And if you have that and you're willing to invest into her, then yeah, go for it. Try it out. See if you like it. And while I do love Kokomi dearly, sometimes it gets a little boring knowing that you just have infinite health whenever you go into a battle. Using Qiqi forces me to strategize a little bit more. And, you know, in a game as easy as Genshin Impact, sometimes we have to make our own challenges. And so, with the physical team now complete, I shall leave you with one final showcase of Qiqi.